"What do you mean we're short 3 housekeepers once more?" Alden Rivers stood in his office, gazing at the latest staffing report as if it were a cruel jest. The hotel chain boasted 15 locations throughout the Midwest. He acquired it 6 years, back when the former owners were losing money due to poor management and obsolete systems. He transformed the booking platform, refreshed the rooms, and significantly increased revenue. However, recently, there have been grievances arising from a specific area, Camden Street. Lewis kept reappearing. Visitors expressed dissatisfaction with the level of cleanliness. The rate of staff turnover was elevated. The data was clear. Camden Street was negatively impacting performance. The district manager had been requested to investigate the matter, received an unclear response regarding labor market challenges and the perceived work ethic of millennials. He subsequently requested an internal audit. The report returned with results that were pristine, perhaps even suspiciously so. Alden preferred original insights over borrowed responses. He had to witness it firsthand. He removed his beard, transformed his hair to a shade of grey, and donned a set of thick-rimmed glasses. A friend in the wardrobe department owed him a favor and provided him with a complete hotel bellhop uniform, complete with all the accessories. He referred to himself as Ben, a fresh temporary worker from a staffing agency. At times when the company managed recruitment via an agency, the general manager would take it for granted that the individual was referred and would refrain from inquiring further. He was unfamiliar with any of the Camden staff prior to this. That was intentional. He preferred to keep his identity hidden from them, not at this moment. On that Monday, Alden, now known as Ben, made his way to the Camden Street Hotel just before the first light of dawn. The hotel lobby seemed more compact than he recalled. A handful of flower arrangements drooped in the corners. The carpet required a thorough cleaning. A woman at the front desk looked up as he entered. "Are you the temporary staff?" she inquired directly. "Indeed," Ben remarked as he fiddled with his glasses. Her lips remained uncurled. "Come along with me." The name tag displayed Kelsey, the assistant manager in her early 30s, exuding impatience and unmistakably not a fan of mornings. She overlooked inquiring about his background or verifying his identification. I simply passed him a cart and gestured towards the elevators with a nod. "Kindly transport those bags to room 1204. Next, I will provide you with the remaining tasks." He nodded and pushed the cart ahead, his knees already protesting from the awkward bend in his inexpensive dress shoes. By mid-morning, he had transported luggage to 9 rooms, assisted a couple with their malfunctioning air conditioning, and cleaned a handrail that an elderly guest had remarked was sticky. No one provided him with water. No one even expressed gratitude. At approximately 11, he strolled back toward the service hallway, his ears catching the faint echoes of voices drifting from the laundry room. He decelerated. "Goodness, she's taking her time," a man's voice remarked. "I swear, watching her fold towels is as thrilling as watching paint dry," a woman's voice chuckled. He moved in cautiously, ensuring he remained unnoticed. The man repeated, "That woman carries the scent of mothballs and melancholy. I'm puzzled as to why we continue to hold on to her. She feels like a relic of the past." Alden stood still, caught in the moment. He cautiously glanced around the corner of the laundry door. Within the confines of the room, 2 individuals lingered. Beside the collapsible table, one was a tall, polished individual in a blue dress shirt, as indicated by his badge as a manager. Another individual was Kelsey. The individual under discussion was a petite woman, her face etched with deep lines and a noticeable limp in her right leg. She meticulously folded the sheets, her concentration unwavering. Odessa Vance was the name displayed on her tag. "Hey, Odessa," the voice rang out. "How is our towel collection holding up?" She glanced upward and offered a smile, courteous yet weary. "I'm giving it my all, Mr. Connors." He glanced back at Kelsey and murmured with emphasis, "Her best takes 5 hours." Once more their laughter filled the air. Holden entered the room. Kelsey pivoted, taken aback. "Oh, Ben, is there something you require?" He maintained a steady tone. "Bring the laundry cart down here." Connors gestured dismissively. "Simply leave it by the entrance. We'll handle it shortly." Odessa glanced upward once more, meeting Alden's gaze briefly, her smile diminishing. That moment lingered in his chest longer than it ought to have. He pushed the cart into the hallway, then rested against the wall, his jaw clenched. He needed to remain true to his role at this moment, yet the manner in which they laughed, as if she were devoid of humanity, ignited a simmering anger within him. That evening, he assisted Odessa in transporting a stack of linens up to the 6th floor. She ambled along, distinctly favoring her. "Right leg. You've been here for quite some time," he inquired. 13 years, she declared with pride. He nodded, recalling how he used to train all the new girls, though recently they haven't been sticking around for long. "Why not indeed?" She paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. "Some people above us don't show us much kindness, but I have expenses to cover, and I enjoy making guests feel welcome." "Most people don't care like that," he said softly, and she merely shrugged. "I certainly do." As the day drew to a close, Alden felt the weight of fatigue settle in. His back throbbed and his feet were utterly exhausted. Yet his intellect was keener than it had been in years. He had witnessed enough to realize that something was amiss, yet he had more to say. Tomorrow, he would delve further. The following morning began with Odessa unlocking the supply closet and meticulously sorting through the carts, carefully inspecting each shelf as if it were a sacred ritual. Alden lingered close by, feigning interest in the mop handle he was toying with. Her attention to detail wasn't sluggish, it was intentional. Each towel meticulously folded with precision, every bottle of cleaner scrutinized for its fill level. "Ben," a monotone voice called out from behind. He glanced over to spot Connors, the general manager, with a clipboard firmly in hand. "Today, you're in charge of the breakfast trays. Room drops commence at 7. Items positioned at the forefront. Please ensure you arrive on time next time." He was not tardy. He arrived 10 minutes ahead of schedule, yet disputing it would disrupt the momentum. He simply nodded and made his way to the kitchen. The back hall was permeated with the unmistakable scent of scorched eggs and burnt coffee. 2 trays lingered in a state of partial assembly on the counter, while cold toast curled at the edges, hinting at neglect. A chef in a grease-stained apron flung a plate into the warmer, eyes fixed elsewhere. "You're the newcomer. Gather them, up and let them flow." 6 levels of requests, don't waste time. Alden filled the cart, casting a quick look at the room numbers. 12 orders were placed, 2 of them were designated as VIP. He took that to imply additional attention. The door to room 523 creaked open gradually at the sound of his knock. A man in a business suit was inside, diligently finishing the knot of his tie. He scrutinized Alden from head to toe. "You stand apart from the crowd." "Absolutely not, sir. Simply providing some input." The man scowled. "Be careful not to make a mess. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. Heldon placed the tray on the table and began to walk away. "Hold on," the guest said. "Could you please let me know the status of the linen replacement I requested yesterday? I'm uncertain, but I can look into it. Please inform housekeeping to stop overlooking calls. I refuse to pay for such a subpar level of service." Alden gave a brief nod, turned, and committed the thought to memory. On the 4th floor, he discovered Odessa maneuvering a cart, her left hand clutching the handle with an intensity that seemed excessive as she made her way down the hallway with a noticeable limp. She glanced upward and offered a weary nod. He strolled alongside her. "Do you have any insight into why room 523 hasn't received their linen replacement?" She sealed her lips tightly. "I recorded it. 2 times. Kelsey mentioned that it wasn't at the top of the list." He continued on his path. "Is that usual?" Odessa approached a door and gently rapped on it before stepping inside. She determines the course of action. At times, this entails overlooking the logs, particularly during hectic days. She hesitated. Typically, that's the case on most days. There was a certain quality in her voice that indicated she had given up on the notion of fairness a long time ago. At noon, Alden discovered he was tasked with the back dock, assisting in the unloading of a supply delivery. A young man in his 20s, adorned with a tattoo sleeve, was already present, deftly swinging boxes off the truck with a practiced rhythm. He cast a quick look. "Hey, you were aware. Indeed, the name is Ben." "My name is Rico." With a resounding thud, he let the box fall to the ground. "Stay alert out here. It's not merely because it's a significant burden to bear. Could you clarify what you mean?" Rico brushed the sweat from his forehead. "Make one mistake and Kelsey will document it. It doesn't matter how many things you've done correctly. If you voice your opinion, you're out." Alden hoisted a box onto a dolly. He nodded, acknowledging that it had happened to you. "My cousin previously held a position here, addressed the issue of the malfunctioning AC units that remain unfixed. Received a formal notice regarding my demeanor. There will be no shifts next week. Has she decided to leave? There was no option available. Rent is always due." They completed the unloading quietly. As Alden made his way back upstairs, he walked by the staff break room. Within the space, 2 staff members were seated, engaged in their meals with minimal conversation. The vending machine emitted a low buzz from its corner perch, while the microwave flashed an ominous error message across its screen. One of the overhead lights began to flicker. He entered the room. "Are you two on a break?" he inquired. They glanced upward, uncertain whether he was observing or merely biding his time. One of them remarked, 15 minutes. Marlo was the name displayed on her tag. "How long have you been here?" She mentioned 8 months. "It seems like an eternity." The other gave a slight nod. "The only reason I'm still around is that this place is near my child's school," Marlo remarked. "You discover the importance of staying focused and avoiding distractions. Greet visitors with a warm smile and be sure to duck when Connors passes by." Alden rested against the wall. "What occurs if you fail to do so?" "In that case, you may not be fully embracing collaboration." He exited the break room, a tight knot twisting in his stomach. At 3, he returned to the lobby, assisting a guest with the check-in process, when a woman in a wheelchair made her way to the counter. "I reached out in advance regarding an accessible room," she mentioned. "It was promised to be ready." Kelsey positioned herself at the front desk, fingers dancing across the keyboard. "Deanne Alvarez." Kelsey's fingers came to a halt. "Indeed." "The room remains uncleaned at this time." Deanne frowned, noting the delay in housekeeping. "However, I made 2 calls. I was informed it would be ready by 3. Kelsey kept her gaze fixed downward. "Actually, it isn't. Patience is required." Alden advanced with purpose. "Would you like me to take a look at the room?" Kelsey pivoted with sudden intensity. "You seem to be overlooking something." "This isn't your domain." Deanne's voice carried a subtle strength beneath its softness. "I would be grateful if someone could take a look. I have been traveling for 6 hours. Kelsey let out a frustrated sigh. "All right, proceed. Grab the key." Alden hurriedly made his way, located the room, and swung the door open. It was pristine. Pristine towels, meticulously vacuumed carpets, and well-stocked toiletries. He came back. "It is prepared." Kelsey remained silent, simply passing the guest the key without meeting their gaze. Deanne cast a thankful glance at Alden. "Thanks a lot." He gave a slight nod before shifting his attention to Kelsey. "What made you think it wasn't prepared?" She cast a fleeting look in his direction. "I hadn't confirmed it yet, but it was indeed clean. You're not in a position to question my management of the front. You are a temporary worker." He maintained her gaze. "Got it." Later that evening, he discovered Rico in the alley behind the building, resting on a stack of crates. "Have you ever considered giving it all up?" Alden inquired. "Rico always said that, but rent is still rent. What alternative actions would you consider?" He let out a weary chuckle. "I completed my HVAC studies and earned my certification, but I'm still searching for an opportunity to prove myself." Alden. They gave a deliberate nod. "Are you proficient with systems? Indeed. Why, may I inquire?" That evening, Alden found himself in the back office, well past closing time. The structure stood in silence, save for the soft buzz of the vending machine echoing from down the corridor. He perused the daily logs, noting the overlooked maintenance requests, neglected linen changes, and postponed room turnovers. Many of them were concluded by Kelsey. He retrieved Odessa's file, noting the absence of disciplinary marks, 13 years of consistent service, and numerous commendations from former managers. Then he proceeded to examine Rico's file. One directly ahead. Delayed delivery unloading. On the day following his cousin's departure, he shut the file drawer. At the break of dawn, he made his entrance ahead of schedule. Connors was already in the lobby, engaging in conversation with a guest and laughing boisterously. Alden moved to the space behind the desk. Kelsey glanced in his direction. "You're not on the front schedule today. I understand." "So, what's the reason for that?" "I will be stepping in for a while." She squinted her eyes. He slipped his hand into his jacket, retrieved his authentic corporate ID, and placed it delicately on the desk. She gazed at it intently. Connors pivoted mid-laughter and became still. Alden cast his gaze upon the two of them. His voice carried a soft yet resolute quality. "I go by the name Alden Rivers. This company is mine. For the past 2 days, I have observed how this location functions under your guidance." Kelsey's lips parted, yet silence enveloped her. Connors advanced a step. "My dear sir, had I been aware, I understand precisely how you would have acted had you been aware." The stillness in the lobby was complete. He glanced over at the front desk, team who had paused their typing, their expressions frozen in astonishment. "Rest assured there's no cause for concern, but the management of this hotel changes starting today." In an instant he turned his gaze toward Connors. "Your task is complete. Gather your belongings." He then shifted his gaze to Kelsey. Neither of them budged. I insisted again. They departed in silence. Alden paused behind the desk, surveying the astonished staff with a contemplative gaze. "There are tasks that require our attention. It begins with respect, and that signifies transformation." He made his way down the service hallway. Odessa emerged from the elevator, maneuvering a cart ahead of her. He acknowledged her with a subtle nod. She hesitated. "There's something about you that's changed," he said with a faint smile. "The past few days have felt quite extended." She gazed at the vacant spot where Connors typically occupied. "Has something occurred?" "Indeed," he affirmed, "a matter that has been waiting far too long." By midday the news had circulated. It wasn't merely the hushed tones in the break room or the fleeting looks exchanged between carts in the hallway. There was an unmistakable shift in the air. The tension that had draped over the street location like a damp tarp had eased. It had, albeit just barely. Yet Alden understood that relief was fleeting without a solid foundation. He had witnessed it previously. Leaders ousted, a fleeting tranquility, and familiar patterns resurfacing within mere weeks. Such a thing is unlikely to occur in this place. He positioned himself in the modest conference room adjacent to the lobby, sleeves rolled up, a legal pad laid out before him. Definitely not a laptop. It's not a device for capturing audio. With nothing but a pen and a list of names, he summoned the department leads, beginning with the kitchen. Rodrigo, the head chef, entered with a cautious demeanor. He donned a patched apron and a t-shirt that had transitioned from black to a soft gray over time. "You can choose to sit, but it's entirely up to you," Alden remarked. Rodrigo took a seat, his arms firmly crossed over his chest. "How long have you been here?" Alden inquired, pencil at the ready. "Half a dozen years. Have you ever witnessed Connors getting his hands dirty and pitching in on the line?" Rodrigo let out a humorless chuckle. "The sole thing he ever raised was a grievance." Alden mentioned that the food budget has exceeded expectations every quarter. However, the breakfast trays lack sufficient contents. "Where is the missing piece?" Rodrigo gave a single nod. "We are at a disadvantage. Every 2 weeks, trucks are arriving with missing items that we have already paid for. I have brought this to attention. Was advised to manage with what I have." Alden remained unresponsive, simply jotting down a note. Rodrigo paused, contemplating. The idea of paying out of pocket. A few times it wasn't about the cost of eggs and milk. We simply didn't want our guests to place the blame on us. Alden acknowledged this. Reimbursement will be provided. When Rodrigo departed, his posture had become a bit less defensive. Following that was upkeep. The elevator chimed, and a man wearing oil-stained jeans with a noticeable limp in his left shoulder stepped inside. "Is your name Calvin?" "Calvin, is that correct?" Alden remarked. "Absolutely, sir. I have spent 8 years in this place. You're the sole technician on the team now that Marcus has been let go, stated that the budget was unable to accommodate two. Alden scowled. What is the total number of rooms under your care? Calvin calculated the figures mentally. T4, excluding lobby. Systems. Additionally, rooftop HVAC systems. You have been documenting all repairs, accustomed to. Then came to a halt. Kelsey mentioned that it hindered progress. Alden's pencil came to a halt. She instructed you against logging maintenance, and Calvin acknowledged her with a nod, claimed it tarnished the appearance of the reports. Alden rapped the pencil against the surface thrice before placing it aside. You'll begin logging once more, and I'll arrange for a second tech to assist you. As Calvin departed, Alden noticed Odessa fleetingly moving through the hallway. She strolled through the space, arms crossed, her gaze sweeping over the walls as if she were still on the job. He rose to his feet and exited the room. Odessa, he remarked. She hesitated, pivoted. You're off duty, he remarked. You're still present. I found myself tidying up the utility closet on the second floor. It has remained untouched for months, with mold slowly encroaching. He arched an eyebrow. You didn't have to, she said, her voice soft yet firm. Yet visitors pass through that corridor. They truly deserve more, he agreed with a nod. She took a moment, trailing behind him as they re-entered the room. He filled a glass with water, placed it before her and patiently waited for her to take a seat. Why have you remained here all these years, he inquired. Her gaze remained unwavering, because I had faith in what this place once represented. She cast her gaze upon her hands. At this moment, I'm uncertain about what it is. Alden inclined his body, eager and attentive. Have you ever requested a promotion? I asked 3 times, and she responded without a moment's pause. For the first time, I was told that my attitude was not quite right. Once again, no reply. For the 3rd time, Connors remarked that my approach was too traditional for a leadership role. His jaw tightened. She nodded, indicating it was a bit outdated. Was told to focus on folding, that I was dependable but lacked flair. Alden rose to his feet, made his way to the window, and then pivoted to face the room once more. Have you ever mentored someone in a leadership position? Abundant, she remarked. 2 of them stepped into leadership roles, 1 departed, and the other resigned after Connors reduced her hours. He settled back into his seat. She blinked at the suggestion of overseeing the housekeeping team. Excuse me? It's not a request. It's something that should have happened by now, but I won't impose it on you. You will need to draft the new team schedule and become acquainted with the digital reports. She fixed her gaze on him, saying, I can provide the tools, but ultimately the decision is yours. What prompts this moment? Having observed you for 2 days, I can confidently say you've accomplished the work of 3 individuals, all while maintaining high standards. Anyone who takes such meticulous care in folding sheets isn't motivated by money. Odessa remained silent, yet her fingers gently curled around the edge of the table. As the evening unfolded, Alden convened the entire staff in the lobby. It lacked formality, with no microphone or podium in sight. Everyone gathered under the faint glow of the overhead lights, some still clad in their uniforms, while others donned coats, poised to depart. I understand today has been quite exhausting. Tell you, he started. I won't take up much of your time, but I want to ensure that a few points are clearly communicated. He scanned the room. Some averted their gaze while others met his stare head-on. This week, I found myself in a covert role as I began to lose touch with the tone of the emails I was encountering. I ceased to have faith in the reports. I had to witness it firsthand. A handful of furtive looks exchanged among the team members. What I observed was a team that exerts effort beyond what anyone could reasonably anticipate. I observed dysfunctional systems, individuals in positions of authority who lacked merit, and others who were unjustly overlooked. He glanced at Odessa, then at Rico, and finally at Calvin, exchanging only fleeting eye contact, nothing more. Starting now, new reporting procedures are in place. Maintenance logs will be accessible and clear. We will monitor housekeeping requests closely, and any skipped rooms will be assessed on a daily basis. And if anyone advises you against logging something, you come to me. He paused. Additionally, a strict policy has been implemented regarding retaliation and disrespect. against any form of discrimination. If anyone, regardless of their position, makes you feel unsafe, unheard, or unvalued, that will be their final day here. I truly mean that. The lobby was eerily quiet. While I may not be able to resolve all issues in an instant, I can begin by being attentive. Tomorrow I'll be around for the day, but not in a supervisory role. Like a diligent helper, I'll be folding towels, cleaning windows, and doing whatever tasks are necessary. The following day we will begin the process of bringing on the support you require. A throat was cleared from the back of the room. Another adjusted their stance. Alden continued, I understand that trust isn't established through words alone. It has been earned. I will work for it. He took a small step back. That concludes our discussion for the moment. If you require assistance, I'll be in the break room for the next hour. As the crowd started to thin out, a handful remained behind. Marla moved toward him with deliberate slowness. She remarked that she had no idea who you were. That was the intention, he responded. She paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. Individuals may still feel hesitant to voice their thoughts. They will no longer face consequences for their truthfulness. She gave a single nod, then turned and walked away. Outside, the rain pattered against the sidewalk while the neon sign danced in the evening breeze. Alden gazed out the window, observing as Rico assisted in loading a supply cart into the storage shed. All is well. There are no easy paths. Within the confines of the room, Odessa was diligently crafting a fresh chart for the housekeeping rotations. She refrained from seeking assistance. There was no necessity for her to do so. Alden retraced his steps to the staff room and grasped a mop. Tomorrow won't solve all the problems, yet it would be truthful. By Friday morning, the atmosphere within the Camden Street hotel had shifted, though it remained far from tranquil. Not at this moment. The tension lingered on. It had merely transformed. Employees had shifted their focus. Their vigilance was now directed towards Alden. He had garnered intrigue but not confidence. That was the inevitable next step. He showed up before dawn once more, dressed in jeans and a maintenance polo. No identification tag. Unmasked. Only he. On the previous day, he had discreetly sanctioned a short-term budget extension to enlist 2 agency workers and a local contractor to help with the overwhelmed departments. While it may not resolve the staffing gap immediately, it would certainly provide some much-needed breathing space. In the staff room, Marla lifted her gaze from her locker. I didn't expect to see you back this morning. I said I would, Alden replied, bending down to tie his boots. Indeed, individuals often express numerous opinions when they have a clipboard in hand. Today I'm not holding one, he remarked, rising to his feet. Do you require assistance with something? She inclined her head ever so slightly. Have you ever had the experience of clearing a commercial drain? Nope. Come on. You'll gain some knowledge. By mid-morning, he had uncovered more details about the plumbing beneath the second floor than he ever wished to discover. He had also discovered that Marla had a teenage son who despised geometry and was running a side business selling handmade candles online to make ends meet. She rarely discussed the job in detail, but when she did, her words were precise and cutting. She handed him a wrench and said, Don't waste your time asking the front desk to call a plumber. They'll simply suggest looking at the manual, as if we aren't already proficient in our roles. He nodded, not in agreement, but in recognition. Outside the utility closet, Odessa meticulously examined the updated rotation chart she had crafted the previous night. She stood next to the elevator, clipboard in hand, ascending through the steps of sanitizing touchpoints. Her tone was steady yet assertive, and the newcomer, not yet 20, absorbed every word with attentive silence. I want consistency, not speed, Odessa remarked, gently repositioning the girl's hold on the spray bottle. Moving too quickly will catch the attention of your guests. If executed properly, silence will be your only reward. However, that is the objective, subtle brilliance. Alden watched quietly from a distance, choosing not to intervene. As Odessa strolled past on her route to the supply closet, he fell into step alongside her. Your ability to observe and enhance skills is impressive. I've had some experience, she remarked. How is the chart performing? Improved. Rico is laying down the floors with increased activity. Calvin is concentrating on systems rather than quick fixes, but we still require one additional full-time housekeeper to ensure weekends are maintained. Alden mentioned that he has someone handling that. In the interim, you will receive an agency floater. It may not be flawless, but it will extend the reach, she acknowledged. It will be beneficial. In the lobby, a guest bent toward the counter, clearly exasperated. I have been requesting towels for more than an hour now. The receptionist, Sarah, tapped away at the keyboard with swift precision. I apologize. I didn't notice any request coming through the system. I made 2 calls. Sarah's fingers lingered above the keyboard. Alden stepped in and suggested, "Try room 302. She cast a fleeting look his way, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. He gave a slight nod. Proceed. She delved into the logs. No input provided. The visitor's demeanor shifted to one of gloom. I envisioned it. Alden replied, "No, you did not. We've recently transitioned to a new system, and we're currently identifying some gaps. I will deliver them personally." He fetched the towels from the closet and brought them over himself. Upon his return, Sarah remained at the desk, clearly shaken. "You managed that situation more gracefully than I could have," she remarked. Alden responded, "You didn't do anything wrong. We're making some changes, but I could use your assistance." Her expression was one of astonishment. "With what exactly?" "We are creating a streamlined channel for feedback that connects reception with operations. Say goodbye to paper logs. Please proceed with testing the pilot. Monitor unfulfilled requests, patterns resembling flags. Suggest improvements." "I don't hold a managerial position. Leading doesn't require you to be one." She hesitated before responding. She gave a single nod. "Understood." Later that afternoon, Alden made his way to the receiving dock. Rico unloaded a shipment of linens, the sweat soaking through the back of his shirt. Another temporary worker was assisting him, yet finding it difficult to maintain the speed. Alden inquired if a third pair of hands was needed. Rico kept on the go. "It varies. Are you skilled with inventory tags? There's just one method to discover the truth." They moved in. "Harmony for more than an hour." Rico vocalized the stock numbers, his voice steady and clear, while Alden meticulously tagged and sorted the items around him. Once they were done, they settled on the loading ramp, taking sips from their battered water bottles. "You really meant it," Rico said. "You are truly immersed in it. I will not request others to undertake what I am not willing to do myself." Rico gazed at the warehouse door. "We are still lacking in technicians. At this moment, I remain certified. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Electrical, I have consistently continued my recertification efforts. You desire the position, yet he wavered. I do, but only if it's genuine. Just a title and a pay increase without any input. You would take on additional responsibilities. Analyzing system performance, calls from vendors, shifts during the weekend. Do you believe you're prepared?" "I've been prepared," Rico stated. "I simply wasn't invited. On Monday morning, you will begin your role as the assistant facilities lead. You will be reporting to Calvin, but I look forward to receiving your insights directly." Rico failed to express gratitude. He merely nodded and straightened his posture slightly. Within the confines of the room, Odessa diligently worked on revising the incident response binder. It lay undisturbed for more than a year. She had meticulously revised the emergency protocols by hand, incorporated shift-specific phone trees, and highlighted the missing supplies. As Alden walked by, she kept her gaze fixed ahead. "There is no AD present on the premises. That poses a risk." He mentioned that he would order 2 mounted on the wall, 1 for each floor. "Well," she responded, "the light in the stairwell on the 2nd floor continues to flicker. It poses a risk." Recorded. By 6, the hotel had settled into a quieter rhythm, not flawless but certainly more harmonious. Alden convened a last gathering in the break room, not compulsory, merely an invitation to all. 14 employees arrived, with a mix of uniforms and casual attire among them. They lingered propped against walls or perched on crates. Odessa lingered towards the rear. Rico rested against the fridge. Sarah grasped a notepad. Alden positioned himself at the forefront, arms folded across his chest. "I won't keep you long," he said. However, I wish to complete the cycle. He surveyed the expressions around him, noting the skepticism in some, the caution in others, and a hint of curiosity in a few. Each of you has borne a significant burden. This place has operated under circumstances that were anything but just. What has transpired cannot be reversed. However, I can ensure that it comes to a halt. There were no interruptions. Beginning next week, we will host monthly rotating town halls. Only staff and I, no managers involved. Each submission will undergo a review process prior to being considered. Your concerns will be acknowledged. He took a moment to reflect. Second, performance. Reviews will now be a two-way street. Each manager in this organization will undergo assessment by their team members. If they fail to uphold the standard, their title will be at risk. A soft whisper floated through the space. Future promotions will be based on merit rather than length of service. Possessing the right skills guarantees you the chance, no exceptions. He allowed the quiet to linger. I didn't arrive with the intention of delivering a speech. I arrived here to remind myself of the foundation upon which this enterprise was established. I believe that numbers conveyed the narrative. They simply do not. You certainly do. He withdrew, creating distance. Odessa lifted her hand with a subtle gesture. What occurs if the upcoming GM resembles the previous one? Alden cast his gaze upon her. Then I stumbled and you reached out to me directly. She observed him intently for a brief moment, then gave a nod of understanding. Rico lifted his gaze. Your continued engagement, I will return every 3 months, unfiltered and unannounced. If I happen to forget again, you'll be there to remind me. Sarah surveyed her surroundings, taking in every detail of the room. It seems we have finally emerged from the shadows. That's no longer the case. They gradually scattered. Whispers filled the air. Some departed in silence. Alden lingered to tidy up the abandoned cups. With the light extinguished, Odessa lingered. At the threshold. You truly meant it, she remarked. I certainly did. She gave a single nod. Then we shall hold you accountable. She closed the door behind her.